No, Joey Badass. What exactly happened to the man? It's literally been years since I last spoke about Joey Badass. He's actually gearing up towards dropping an album in about 3 weeks, and Joey hasn't dropped an album in over 5 years, so it's most definitely been a while, which is why I wanted to have this conversation. With that being said, let's talk about it. Now, Joey Badass, a name a lot of people recognize. Joey Badass is of course a 27-year-old rapper out of Brooklyn. He's been in the game for a while, got his first break in the industry back in 2012 when his 1999 tape dropped. Joey didn't have a lot of worldwide buzz even after dropping that project. A lot of the recognition and hype came a little bit later, specifically around 2013. That's when he was on a XXL cover alongside guys like Travis Scott, Logic, Schoolboy Q, and more. That was also the same year he dropped Summer Nights, which is a solid little EP with a lot of dope records on it. Even at this point, Joey Badass wasn't the biggest thing on the planet, and as a matter of fact, Joey, for the majority of his early days, like a lot of people know, was stuck in the underground world for a while. A lot of people, especially core hip-hop fans, knew his name, but he was far from a mainstream rapper. Joey's someone who I always viewed as a rapping-ass rapper. He knew how to spit bars, he could rap circles around most rappers around his age, but unfortunately his music just didn't appeal to a very wide audience. Now after that Summer Nights EP though, he dropped Before the Money in 2015, which was his debut album. His second project, All American Badass, that dropped in 2017. Like a lot of people know, that was actually the last time Joey Badass dropped an album, in 2017. So it's been over 5 years since we got a Joey Badass album. Joey since then hasn't really been all that active music wise. He's been featured on a lot of different records throughout these last couple of years, was a part of that Beast Coast collab project that dropped in 2019, but as far as his own work, his activity has been close to non-existent. One reason for why that could be the case: acting. For anyone who doesn't know, Joey's been doing a whole lot of acting throughout these last couple of years. He was on a show, Mr. Robot, also got a role in one of the Power spin-offs, Raising Kanan. Aside from his acting gig, he's also been doing some different things like modeling. Was actually a part of a modeling campaign for Paco Rabanne. He was the face for their 1 million cologne campaign back in 2019. So outside the music, he's been out here collecting various bags. That's obviously very good for Joey Badass, but where is the music? That's a question a lot of people have been asking. Ever since Joey Badass took this long hiatus from the music industry, he's now in a completely different space career-wise. He's obviously not as talked about as he used to be. I would for sure say that Joey Badass has gotten left behind, and the reasoning for that being very simple: he's not better off than he used to be a few years back, so from that perspective, he's regressed. It's kind of obvious that Joey's definitely been negatively affected by his lack of material, because at one point, especially during the time when he dropped in 2017, Joey was really at the forefront of the young lyrical rappers conversation. Nowadays, I feel like Joey barely even comes up in any conversations. And also, people won't give him as much leeway as they did in 2017 if, let's say, his album flops, because he's 5 years older now. At this point, he's being held to a different standard, which tends to happen as artists age. Simply put, people are going to be expecting a better version of Joey Badass on his next drop. How is this next drop really going to be different from his last one? Is he going to pick up from where he left off, or is the music going to be worse? As I'm looking at Joey in 2022, one question I'm asking myself is, where exactly does he fit in now as far as placement in the game? Because Joey came up in a time where lyrical rap was beyond thriving. I think that's one reason why he got so much success in his early days. Because think about it like this: imagine if he dropped 1999 in 2022, how well would that project perform in the current state of hip-hop? Would it still be considered a classic mixtape like it's considered now? Personally, I don't think so. But not only has Joey not been that consistent throughout these last couple years, he's also not as valued because things have changed so much, since he dropped. I think for Joey Badass, one of the biggest battles he's gonna face at this stage in his career is what I said a second ago: where in the current state of the rap game does he fit in? I'm very curious as to how his current sound is gonna fit in with this new generation sound, because Joey for the majority of his career has been on some boom bap shit. If his album sounds like that, how well is it really gonna perform? I have a feeling he's somewhat gonna be adapting himself after the current sound. I mean, he did after all talk about shooting his ops and upping his score on his song Revenge, so I think that's a big possibility. I don't know what the future holds for Joey Badass though. I think when this album eventually drops, that's gonna tell us a lot about where he's really at. I don't expect his album to do crazy good, because after all, he's been gone for the last 5 years, and we all know what happens when an artist takes a hiatus in this generation. I think this forthcoming Joey Badass album, if it ends up being a solid body of work, could be the start of something new for Joey. Whether or not that ends up being the case, we're gonna have to wait and see. But yeah, Joey Badass. Are you guys still checking for Joey Badass in 2022? What do you personally think led to him not being as poppin' as he once used to be? Is it strictly the fact that he hasn't dropped, or is it something else? Curious to hear what you have to say, so yeah, definitely let me know in the comment section below. Like this video, like this video, like this video. Let's talk about this.